Hi guys, like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the best channel in within 400 yards of where I'm sitting. uh, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Did a lot of meditating this weekend, and yesterday I came to a lot of kind of deeper understandings about fasting and meditation. There's a verse in the Bible, and I think it's in Mark, where Jesus uh, takes, or there's a possessed boy or something like that, and then the boy is, or he takes the spirit out of this boy. I think it's a boy, and um, everyone asks him, how are you able to do that? It's like, well, you can do this also through prayer and meditation. This kind of, you can't do this unless you've fasted and meditated for a long time. And so I really didn't understand why that was the case. But then after that, I think is right after that is the Mount of Transfiguration, where it shows Jesus, Elijah, and Moses standing on the Mount of Transfiguration, and they're all three of them are in light bodies. And when you review the Bible, those are the only three people that fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, right? Just Jesus, Moses, and Elijah. And those are the three, Elijah and Moses didn't die. They ascended. And Jesus, you could argue that Jesus did the same thing, right? Because he was a light body before even, he showed himself as a light body before he was even sacrificed on the cross. So fasting and meditation is basically um, how to get to higher states of consciousness. And I really want to show why that is in this slide. And you might be wondering, okay, why do you have this thing with the money and the heart here? And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you guys will come to more of an understanding of why I have these scales here with money on one side weighing down your heart, right? Money will weigh down your heart. If you're constantly worried about money or what you're going to eat, right? Because money is all about survival, having freedom and survival, right? But is there a way to have freedom without money, or freedom without having to worry about money, right? That's kind of what we're going to find out here in this slide. So let's go to the next one. So the original story of Adam and Eve, it's I've talked about this in other videos, but the story is, they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and then they had to clothe themselves because they felt like something was out to get them, right? Because you're no longer in a, you're believing that there's something evil out there that's going to get you, and so you think something's going to eat you, so you got to wear clothes. And so this picture of the jungle kind of describes that, right? All of these animals are eating different things here, consuming each other in this cycle of life, right? They're constantly consuming things. And these are just, obviously giraffes, zebras, and elephants aren't consuming each other, but they're still consuming plants. They're still eating things. There's no animals of prey in there, but that's the idea. It's just a lower state of consciousness, or that survival state of consciousness that makes you feel like you need to eat to live. And so you need to have something or you're going to die, right? So feeding and our state of mind. This is so if you imagine all these negative deals, we're gonna circle these because when you're thinking negatively about people, it's like a negative ion, right? These positive ions really don't have a shell around them. They'll actually, like if you think about it, a positive ion is dangerous to your body. An alpha particle, if it gets into your body, will destroy the tissue around it because it penetrates everything. So a negative thing is always trying to protect itself, but it's also feeding off each other. So, and they've actually done studies of this, where if you are thinking negatively about something, about somebody else, you're actually pulling energy from that person. So you're actually energetically feeding off of somebody if you're thinking negatively about them. And then, so if you have two people right here who are thinking negatively about each other, they're just feeding off of each other, and you kind of have a neutral exchange of energies. You could imagine, pulling money from each other would be the same thing. Like I sell you a service and you sell me a service, or I sell you a service and you give me money in exchange. So you're just, you're kind of exchanging energies that way, and you're doing it on a three-dimensional level, and you're never really interacting with the divine, if that makes sense. Whereas the opposite is true for a positive based thing, where if you're constantly thinking positively and you're providing something without asking for anything in return, there still has to be an energetic exchange. So you're still going to receive something, but it might take a longer cycle to receive that because you're getting it from in divine law versus just getting it from another person. So think about that in how you're interacting with people. You don't necessarily, when you interact with your family, most people aren't charging their daughter money, to love them, right? But, with the general public, a lot of times you might be, charging somebody something for a service. Well, that's a three-dimensional transaction, which is this type of transaction right here versus this type of transaction. So let's go to the next slide. So this brings us back to the importance of faith, right? Because if you're providing without getting anything in return, then you have to have faith that you're going to be supported. That's a very difficult thing to understand, right? I mean, most people are falling into survival instincts of some kind where you believe that you need to at least take something from your environment or you're not going to be supported. But that's actually, my personal experience is not the case. As long as you keep loving unconditionally and following your heart and serving, even if you don't ask for anything in return, then eventually your faith makes you whole, because you'll see that you're supported along that journey no matter what, as long as you maintain that purity of heart, so you're not thinking negatively about anybody around you, so you're not feeding off of those people, and in a way you're providing positive energy for your environment. Now, there's just a number of different traumas. If you look at all of your chakras from bottom to top, that will cause you to pull energy from your environment, whether it be sexual or, your confidence is lacking, right? And you're not confident to provide in that way, or you're not confident to love from your heart chakra. You're not comfortable speaking with your throat chakra, and even your third eye chakra, the way you envision the people around you. If you can create positivity in all of those areas, and be supported on a divine scale from all of your 7 main chakras, that's an amazing experience. If you can get to that point, I've reached a level of bliss in a few times, where you just feel completely supported by the divine, and you're just thinking positively about everything that's happening in your life, whether on a time scale, and so you're super present. Not only that, but you're thinking positively about everybody around you, and so you're actually not feeding at all. You're not feeding off of your environment in any way, and so that strengthens your connection to the divine. And that's kind of like the code for ascension, right? You become more and more sensitive to everything around you because you're providing for it and getting feedback for how you're providing for it at the same time, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so, it's just the last part is where the lamb lies down with the lion, because there's no fear left, right? When you're walking through the woods and you're afraid of an animal's going to eat you, they'll sense it and attack you. But when you're not afraid of animals, your body doesn't emit any pheromones that's where they sense that. And it's probably there's probably more senses behind that, right? You're living in a field of electromagnetic energy, so you can feel that, when you walk into a room, people's mental states and where they're at, and how many people are in a state of fear, anxiety, or trauma. And if you're not in any of those states, then nothing's going to attack you, because there's really no reason. You're not showing signs that you're at odds with your environment. When you're at odds with your environment, then it'll attack you, right? If you show fear, then if there's something in a lower state of awareness that is in the same state, then you're at odds with it. So that's kind of the ultimate message is, fasting has more to do with not being at odds with your environment and trusting and having faith that you're being provided for without the need to feed off of your environment. So I'd like you guys to think about that and what that means as far as your own walk and your own faith, and how well your faith will manifest as long as you just keep moving forward and loving the people around you unconditionally, whether they give you anything or not, right? Something I really believe in, and it's really motivated me behind all of my relationships. So hope you guys have a wonderful day.